Hello, hello. Hi there, Aileen here. And I am live, I do believe. I'm just waiting to see if I'm live in the group. So just bear with me for a minute. It is Good Friday here in Singapore, probably Good Friday, excuse me, wherever you are as well. And it's something I well remember as I was brought up in the Catholic Church. And while I was out for a walk this morning, I definitely noticed lots of people going to church. Okay, I can see that I am live on my page. So I'm just going to share it to the group, to my group. Just give me one moment to find my group, and I'm just going to share it. Okay. So that should share me in my group. Let me just go and see that I'm in my group. Streaming into Facebook has definitely got more tricky compared to the last time when I was streaming in, which is quite a while ago. But I find when I use StreamYard, the quality is much, much better. So I can see myself live in the Savvy Personal Stylists and Image Consultants online group now. So that's really positive. So hello, happy Friday. It is a public holiday here in Singapore because it is Good Friday. I have my two boys off school. One is playing a tournament and the other is going to get a haircut. So hopefully I'm going to have a peaceful hour that I can spend with you guys here. And today I want to talk about a bit of a tricky topic, a topic that some people will deny exists because they will say that they've absolutely never gotten a color analysis wrong, or their clients have told them they've never gotten a color analysis wrong. And if that's you, this live is not for you. You know, you obviously get it 100% right every time. Your clients are always 100% happy with the results. And in that case, you do not need this live for sure. I'm just checking to see if anybody is actually live with me. I'm not seeing anybody yet. If you are live, please do say hi, say hello. I always love to know who's here with me. So just say hello, say hi. Is this something that you're interested in? Obviously it is, if you have signed up with a tick that you're interested. So if you're live here, I know in Europe it's quite early. In America, I don't know, it depends on where you are in America, what time it actually is. So if you're here live with me, do say hello, don't hide away. If you're watching this on replay, obviously hashtag replay. I really hope some people will join live because I really want this to be a discussion, an open discussion. I don't think it's something that we should pretend is not happening. It doesn't happen that often, honestly, as you go on in your career as a color consultant. But if you have been in the industry for any period of time, if you have been doing color analysis from time to time, as I said, I could probably count in one hand over the last 20 years how many people have come back and said, look, I'm not happy with my palette. But people do come back and say, I'm not happy with my palette, I want something else. Now, when I think back to the people who have done this over the course of my career, my 20 years in color analysis, you know, it's always been somebody who they're just not happy with their level of contrast. Maybe they're not happy with their level of brightness. And conversely, sometimes, you know, people, depending on their personality, will feel far more comfortable if they're given, you know, a palette of quieter colors. So I'm just starting to see some eyes joining me now. Say hello if you're live, say hi. I want to see you if you're alive. Say hello, say hi. Have you had a client who's come back and said, I don't love my colors, they're too bright, or I don't love my colors, they're not bright enough? Now, as I said, it can often come down to people's personalities and their level of comfort with the colors that suit them. It could also be other external influences. It could be that their husband says, they don't really like the colors that they're now wearing. It could be that their friends don't like them. There are so many different reasons for why people mightn't like the colors that you assign to them. So I suppose off the bat, I want to say that, you could be technically 100% right with the colors that you prescribe to your client, but in my mind, it doesn't really matter if the client isn't happy. You really have to send the client away happy. So that can require you doing a couple of different things. It can require you adjusting the palette slightly, and showing them how to wear the colors in a higher or lower contrast. Sometimes that will work and clients will walk away quite happy. Other times they're still not happy. Now, it can also come down to you as a color consultant, I think. And if you yourself are the kind of person who doesn't like to be put in a box, you like to think outside the box, you like to give people options, you could also be attracting people who are like this. And they, in turn, do not want to be put in a box. They don't want to be told, you're a summer. They don't want to be told you're a winter. They want a little bit more freedom, and they do not want to be categorized. So as I said, there are many, many reasons why a client mightn't be happy with their colors. The client that I'm thinking about from many years ago, that just was not happy with her colors when I assigned them to her. She was an Irish girl. She had very light summer coloring, even a little bit lighter than me. So I'm an absolute summer. She was more toward a light summer, and she worked in a corporate environment. She was very, very outgoing and dramatic. And when I gave her her summer colors, she just wasn't happy with them. She felt that they didn't really showcase her personality. They were too pastel, and they were underwhelming is probably the word that she used with me. So, even when I adjusted her palette and showed her colors, creating the highest level of contrast that I could with her palette, she still wasn't happy. She really wasn't. So I made the executive decision at that point to give her the winter palette, which were still cool colors, which were still, in line with her coloring, but they gave her a higher level of contrast. She was so much more happy with those colors. She felt that, she could pick out the navies. She wanted to wear the reds. She wanted to wear white. She wanted to wear black. And she went away truly happy with the palette I gave her. But if I was to say it was 100% technically right, it wasn't, to be honest, because she was clearly a summer. There was no question in my mind she was a summer. But with her personality, with her corporate work, with the way that she wanted to portray herself, giving her the winter palette was a far better option. So I don't think you can just discount personality. I really don't think you can. I think you have to take it into consideration when you are talking to people. Now, sometimes what happens is you will get a client who agrees with you and is going along with you when you're in the consultation, But then you find out afterwards, actually, she was telling somebody else that she's not actually happy. Now, that is something that can like really knock you back. It can knock your confidence. And honestly, you can start to doubt yourself. And the other thing that happens, I think, and comment below and let me know, is that you start to worry that this person is going to damage your business. Because with social media, with the option to go online and paste this all over the internet, etc., there's a very real fear that this person could go online and create trouble for you, or create problems for you, or discredit you. And this is something real, and it's definitely something you'll think about if you have heard back from somebody else that somebody said that you had given them the wrong colors. And I also think it's very detrimental to new consultants starting out, because you're already just trying to develop your confidence. You're already just trying to get your business off the ground, and then you have something like this happen to you, and it's really it doesn't feel very nice, does it? Okay, I just see some people online now. So I have Donja, love your blouse. Thank you, Donja. Yes, I love this blouse. I did have to go for a slightly darker lipstick today, because I do need a medium level of contrast, Donja. So my Pinky Promise lipstick that I keep here next to my computer was definitely required today, because otherwise I would look a bit washed out. So while the color is technically perfect for me, I do need a medium level of contrast. So I created that with my little Pinky Promise lipstick. And that's so important as well, that we give people the right level of contrast. We don't just tell them what colors suit them, but we also give them their level of contrast. So today I want to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pointers that I put down here, that if you get a message, or if you get an email, or if a client rings up and says, I got the wrong colors, or I was color coded by another consultant and they gave me different colors to you, and I preferred the colors that they gave me. First off, please do not panic. Don't panic. There's no need to panic. I'm telling you, it's a real thing. I'm validating your experience. It has happened to other consultants. It is most likely going to happen to you if it hasn't already. It is in a way a rite of passage. It's one of those things that's going to happen. And I mean, obviously, if you're getting 5 a week, you should be worried about that. But if it's, once every couple of years that you get a case like this, it is not the end of the world. So the first thing I will say to you is pause and reframe. Slow things down. No need to rush at it. If somebody sends you a message, take your time, sleep on it. You don't need to respond that second. Please do not go and rush out and try and come up with a response. That's not going to be helpful. Pause and reframe it. In many cases, when you go back and you look at the consultation, which is what I always do, and I relook at why I gave them the colors that I did, I realize that technically I'm usually not wrong. But for whatever reason, they don't love the colors I gave them. So my role is to listen to what they're telling me. And adjust the palette if I need to adjust the palette. If they prefer another palette, just talk to them about how they can make it look more flattering on them. That's all. You don't need to rush out and do anything. So what the first piece of advice I will give you is to pause and reframe. Slow things down. It does not mean that there's something wrong with your expertise. It doesn't mean that you need to panic. Absolutely not. Number 2, respond gracefully and confidently. If the person is really enthusiastic about their new colors or another palette, you know, just respond gracefully and confidently. Acknowledge that, you know, it's absolutely fine to love another palette. You're not going to go and contradict them or try and convince them or try to do anything. You can, like, if the palette is very near the palette you gave them, you can talk about how you can adjust their palette to look more like the palette that they're attracted to in terms of level of contrast, in terms of the colors or the effect they're trying to achieve. Now, number 3, if you feel that, you know, this person is coming at you and they're provocative, or you feel like they're attacking you, you can establish professional boundaries. I would just slow things down. I would say, look, I acknowledge what you're saying to me. It's perfectly within your right to want a different set of colors. But this is technically what I have seen, and this is why I advised you of these colors. So you can kind of go back and reiterate why you gave them the palette that you gave them. And then at the end say, I totally understand if you feel this is not working for your personality. Would you like some advice on how to adjust this other palette to better suit you? So again, you are responding gracefully and confidently. You are maintaining a professional boundary. Now, when you're dealing with the public, the truth is you could get anything. You know, there's so many different types of people out there. You will get people who will attack you. You will get people who will say that, you know, your system doesn't work, maybe. Your role is to maintain your composure, to not go into defensive mode. Do not attack as best you can. This can be very, very hard if it's happening to you for the first time. So I would suggest slow it down. Slow it down. You know, journal if you need to, write it out if you need to. Go to somebody that you trust, talk it out with them. If you have a mentor or if you have a support group, I often get messages from color consultants. That's why I know it goes on as well. It's not that I haven't just seen it with myself. I have consultants behind the scene who have come to me and said, you know, I have this client, they've gone to several color consultants before, they're not happy with the palettes that they've been given. What is your professional opinion? And I weigh in with my opinion, but I also tell people that there are some people out there that no matter what you give them or no matter what somebody else gives them, they're going to be happy. So, you know, you have to bear that in mind as well. There's going to be all sorts of people out there. You are not a counselor. You can't understand what they're going through. You don't know what's going on in the background. You know, I have over the course of my years seen people go to, you know, 5 or 6 different consultants, and they just keep searching, that no matter what palette they're given, they're not happy. I also see a little bit of this online now in groups where people just keep asking other people. They just want validation from other people. Oftentimes they're looking for that validation in the wrong place. And honestly, you can't help them. So, you know, protect your professional boundaries. Try and stay as cordial as possible. Try and keep them as happy as possible, but then I would move on, and I definitely wouldn't allow them to knock my confidence. You know, understand that there's all sorts out there, and it takes all sorts to, you know, in the world. There's all sorts of people in the world. Number 4, use this as a learning opportunity publicly. This is a brilliant way to move past an incident like this. If you get a client who's not happy with your colors, go back and analyze and understand why they weren't happy. Was it a personality thing? Was it, you know, a contrast thing? What was it that they didn't like about their colors? Was it that their husband said that they didn't like their colors? Was it that they have a wardrobe full of clothes that are not in those colors and they don't want to change their wardrobe? So go back and understand why they didn't like their colors, and perhaps write a blog about that. Like I saw a post the other day from a color consultant, and she said, please do not come to me if you don't want me to give you the technically perfect colors, because that's all I'm going to give you. She clearly states, I do not take your personality into consideration. I'm looking at your coloring and I only give you colors based on what I see in your colors. So that is her stand. That is the stand that she's taken in terms of, you know, what she's going to give people. And I think that's a brilliant way of doing it. You know, have an MO, you know. My MO is I will adjust the palette for the person in front of me, depending on their personality. Some people don't take the personality into account. Now, that's also why in my Certified Online Color Expert program, I have a personality test in there. And I think it's a really good idea to give that personality test to your clients before you do a color analysis. I always did, because if they have a red personality type, for instance, and there is summer, they're probably not going to be happy with the summer colors, you know. So having some kind of, even if it's just a very simple personality test in there, it's super important to put that in there in the consultation, so that when the person comes to you, to know what you're dealing with. You know, are they a more dramatic person? Are they a quieter person? In general, what I find is quieter, more introverted people. This is in general now, it's not for every single person, but generally speaking, if somebody tells me in their color personality quiz that they're more of a blue or a green, they're going to prefer quieter colors. Whereas if they're more of a red or a yellow, they'll want more dramatic or brighter colors. So again, you try and handle these people with the personality test and understand them up front. The other thing that I always did in my face-to-face consultations was I would lay out the 4 seasonal fans, and I would ask people, which are you more drawn to and why are you drawn to those colors? So you immediately kind of know up front they prefer the winter colors. So if you're giving them the summer colors, you will know that they'll prefer a higher level of contrast, or you can show them, you know, how in many cases some of the summer colors are very similar to the winter colors. And like if they want to wear black, you talk to them how they can wear black. If they want to wear white, you talk to them how they can wear white. So having that information up front is very, very important. So number 4 was use this as a learning opportunity publicly. And I think it's really important to highlight the nuances between technical accuracy and the person's preference, their preference. I think you have to take that into consideration. I don't think you can ignore that. Okay, number 5, work through your own emotions. Now, when something like this comes up in your business, it can really make you doubt yourself. It can really make you feel like, oh my God, I'm not even sure I'm cut out to do this. Stop. Just work through your emotions. Journal. Do EFT tapping. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself to a place of emotional neutrality, you know, so that you can respond in a more emotionally resilient way. And in many cases, you know, one of the biggest skills you have to develop as a business owner, as a personal stylist, as a color consultant, is emotional resiliency. That ability to be able to roll with these situations that come up that people don't often talk about. It's not talked about that much, to be honest. I don't see it talked about that much, except behind the scenes. I see it because I'm a business coach to personal stylists, but lots of personal stylists don't hear other personal stylists talking about when a client wasn't happy. mostly they'll say, my clients are super happy. No one has ever come back to me. I'm perfect. Everything is perfect in my world. That is not real. It really is not real, because I get to see behind the scenes. So work through your own emotions. Learn emotional resiliency. This is what I spend most of my time doing in my Stylepreneur program. This is my weekly coaching program, my 1 to 5 success path for consistent income in your business. I am working with emotional resiliency every single call I have with those ladies, because that's the thing that's really tricky. Anybody can show you a strategy. I can show you tomorrow how to make 6 figures in your business, but it's the emotional resiliency bit that's tough. Dealing with these situations where, somebody comes back and says you got it wrong, or somebody comes back and asks for a refund, or a launch doesn't go as per what you planned. This is what stops personal stylists in their track. This is what prevents you from making 6 figures in your business. It's that fear that you're going to be called out. It's that fear that somebody's going to tell you you're getting it wrong and you're going to lose face. And there's a huge fear around that in the industry. Why do I know? Because personal stylists write to me and they tell me. And as I said, I also work through these issues with my stylists in my Stylepreneur Accelerator program. Every single week, we are dealing with mindset issues, mindset blocks, mindset issues that the personal stylists aren't even aware that this is the thing that's stopping them. They don't realize that this is the thing that's stopping them. The decisions around these tough situations that cause them to get stuck and stop in their tracks and not being visible and not being confident as the face of their businesses. Okay, number 6, trust your expertise. Remind yourself of your successes in the past. Remind yourself of the happy clients that you've had in the past. How many people have you helped who've been super, super happy with what you've provided? I'm sure it's loads of people. And, the other thing is, say in my Certified Online Color Expert program, bring your clients to the group. I help you code them. The other consultants in there help you code them. But what I always say is, I can help you technically, but you as the stylist is the person dealing with the client. You are the one that will be interacting with them and understand their personality. So your expertise around that is really important. So oftentimes my stylists in the group will say something like, this person is really outgoing and they're drawn toward the bright colors. So that will influence, or we will talk about, well, then what is the best palette to give them based on that? So either, get support from a mentor, especially in those early days when you're starting out, having a second opinion, having somebody to, bounce your ideas off of or ask a question is so super, super important. Okay. And number 7 is engage support. And, I've talked about that already. The benefit of having somebody there on your side, the benefit of, being able to bring your sticky situation to a mentor or to a support group is super important, where you feel like I can ask them how to deal with this and it's not going to be, shared all over the internet. So I think that's absolutely critical. So those are the 7 points that I wanted to make in terms of how you can handle, if somebody comes and says, you got it wrong. Now, I've talked about color today, but of course it could also be style. But it's more common that it's color, funnily enough, because number 1, I think people are seeing so much on the internet. And number 2, it's such, I think people's preferences play a really, really big, strong role in color analysis. The other thing is, sometimes when we're starting out, you know, we are swayed by our own preferences, or we just don't have the expertise. And that is where, you know, a support group that helps you code and will give a second opinion to begin with is super, super important. So I'll just remind you of the 7 practical tips again. So when you hear from somebody else that you got it wrong, or when the client themselves comes back and says you got it wrong, number 1, pause and reframe. Number 2, respond gracefully and confidently. You've done nothing wrong. No one's going to die here. Do not go into defensive role. Number 3, protect your professional boundaries. Make sure that this person is not giving you a problem for your business. Number 4, use this as a learning opportunity. Publicly, if you can, write a blog about it, write a Facebook post about it. So you're basically coming out and you're publicly talking about something that's real and that's happened. And most people want that. They want the authentic you. They definitely do not want the majority of the time, a perfect person. They want somebody who's going to tell them the real story. Number 5, work through your own emotions. Critically important. Number 6, trust your experience. And number 7, engage support. So if this has happened to you, or it has happened to you in the past, I want to validate your experience. I want to let you know that it does happen. You probably have done your best. I've never came across a personal stylist to date who hasn't. It's okay. I'm validating your experience, and you will come out the other side. It is a rite of passage. And ignore the personal stylists who said they've never, ever had, you know, somebody come back and said, I'd prefer different colors. I would question how many clients they're getting. I would question their own personality. I would question the personality of the people that they're attracting. There are so many reasons why they never had anybody complain about their services. Maybe they never had anybody complain about their services to their face. Whatever, I don't know. I don't believe that there's that many that have been in the industry for any period of time that hasn't had something come up for them. And it's not a reason to not start, and it's not a reason to give up on your color business. Absolutely not. Okay, so that is my live for today. I know that many of you will be watching this on replay. If you're watching it on replay, #replay. If this has happened to you, I would love if you share this, or something similar happened to you. I would love if you share this below this video. That would be super important, because I want to, you know, put it out there that this is not as uncommon as you think it is. Okay, so with that, I'm going to close it for today. Thank you for the people who joined live. And pop your comments, your questions, anything at all below. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead, and I will catch you again very, very soon.